For a select few, there is a determination to seek liberation from social hypnosis, social conditioning. Most of the world has been conditioned by things that don't make them happy, and they're scaling essentially unhappiness. The word business comes from the word bisignus, Latin, which means anxiety. Scale your business, scale your anxiety. The word sale means dull and dirty. The word religion means to bind. The word nice means stupid. We're just living in this world of constructs where we're scaling all these things that people really aren't aware of what they mean.
Welcome to the Richer Soul Podcast, where we share how to live in harmony across health, wealth, time, relationships, and spirituality. How do you bring them all together to live your ultimate life? The best thing is we've got nothing to sell, just great advice from people who've succeeded and lived that dream. Welcome to Richer Soul, Justin Breen. It's great to have you join us today.
Hello, hello.
I am excited to learn from you. Let's start at the beginning. What was it like when you were growing up, and how much did your family and school teach you about money?
Yeah, grateful to be here. All guests are unique. I have a very unique background. My father was 61 when I was born, and my mom was 27, and then grew up in I would say, upper middle class northern suburb of Chicago. And I would say most of my friends were upper middle class or wealthy, and an absolute bubble of safety, and fortunate of growing up in a family where money was never thought of. It was never even discussed. And I'm always grateful for that foundation and have never taken it for granted.
If money was never discussed, did you learn how to use money, or was it just like lessons, or how did that work out?
Well, so my father was a World War II hero, shot down multiple times in combat, many times without a parachute, and would get back into another plane. As a 5-year-old, I was hidden. My family, or my siblings, and I were hidden because his best friend was killed in a mafia hit that was featured in several mainstream movies. So I didn't have a normal upbringing. And then my father was an attorney in the Nuremberg Nazi war crime trials, ultimate war hero. So like when people talk about things that you're discussing, it was never really part of the discussion. And I've always felt like I've been put on this planet to kind of look at what's really happening in the world, and then go through extreme dark night of the soul, spiritual awakening, and then write about it, whether it's in books or create companies that actually create true healing, and then make people aware of these constructs that we're kind of all living in and aren't really aware of, or are too afraid to break free from them.
That's interesting. I want to dig into that. Before I do, though, I have one other question.
Okay.
Your mother was very young and your dad was much older.
Yeah.
Like, how did you view that as a child growing up in that construct? Because I'm sure society probably said lots of things to you as you were growing up.
I never understood normal society. I've never understood. So that's a great point. So my parents met after a drunk driver hit my father in his 50s. The drunk driver was killed. My dad broke most of the bones in his body, woke up in the hospital, thought he was dead, and my mom was an angel, and she was his night nurse. My mom came from extreme poverty. I wrote about this in my next book, Epic Journey, which is coming out soon. And she grew up in extreme poverty. Her mom hid in her house when the tax collectors came. They would bang on the door, and her mom was suffered from extreme mental illness, and she would hide. My mom's a pure survivor, so I have pure survivor, war hero, mafia blood in my veins, like no excuses. So I don't understand excuses. And so I was a journalist for 20 years before becoming an entrepreneur. And unless I'm in a format like this where someone's interviewing me, I'd rather not talk. I'd rather ask the questions and listen. And the first person I ever interviewed was my father when I was in 3rd or 4th grade. And I asked him the exact same question that you just asked about the age difference. Because it was interesting, because I really should be like 80 years old. My father was born in 1916. So I should have been born in like 1940 or 1945. Not 1977. And I asked him, about my mom, why I loved her. And this is how I've always thought about the right romantic partner. He just said that she represented everything in an ideal woman, that she was warm and loving. My mom actually saved the recording of that interview. I still have it. and I posted it on social media a couple of years ago. She represented the ideal woman: warm, loving, kind, physically attractive. And, that's kind of how I've always thought about ideal romantic partner.
Interesting. So let's go back to the point you made before I asked that question about the social construct and how
Yeah.
you see the world differently. Help me to understand what that looks like.
Well, I appreciate that, and I can see your brain is. I can feel it. I don't really think about anything. I feel everything, and I can feel how people are thinking, I guess, because most of the world overthinks everything without taking action. And I just feel everything. I'm like, oh, that's the right thing to do. I'll just do it if I feel it's the right thing to do. And my favorite quote or paraphrasing of a quote to summarize what you asked is from Robert Johnson, who was a disciple of Carl Jung. And he worked on shadow mask behavior. And to paraphrase the quote, for a select few, there is a determination to seek liberation from social hypnosis. For a select few, there is a determination to seek liberation from social hypnosis, social conditioning. And essentially, most of the world has been conditioned by things that don't make them happy, and they're scaling essentially on happiness. So what I've learned from that and feeling these things intuitively is to look at the roots of words, etymology. I found that's a really good way of doing it. And so the word business comes from the word bisignus, Latin, which means anxiety. So scale your business, scale your anxiety. Well, that's what it means. I mean, that's what the word sale means dull and dirty. The word religion means to bind. The word nice means stupid. So, hey, you're so nice. Well, so that's what these words mean. And again, this is what my book's about. And so we're just living in this world of constructs where we're scaling all these things that people really aren't aware of what they mean. And so there are two things from that. One, it's great to be aware of this. That's great. It's also extremely isolating and lonely because you see this entire world of quote unquote entrepreneurship where the people are scaling anxiety and scaling. I mean, so it's like, well, and I was as a journalist of 20 years and then living in this world, people tell me things that they never tell anybody else. They're just comfortable around me saying things because I'd rather listen. And then, the things I talk about are not talked about because people are living in these human constructs. So they tell me how none of this stuff is actually making them happy. They're just scaling their anxiety. So it's great to be aware of that. But more importantly, the second thing is, well, what are you going to do about it if you're aware of it? And so I'm aware of it. So, hey, create a book, create a healing sanctuary, create an artificial intelligence company where people learn how to make music and songs, which is a very fast track into your own soul, into your own heart. So that's why I'm here. And for the rest of my living body life, that's what I'll be doing.
I tend to hang out with entrepreneurs who are making themselves anxiety, and most of them spend a lot of time in their head, right?
Correct. And I spend all my time in my heart. That's part of the book is people are overthinking everything, and the heart is actually far more powerful than the brain. But we've been taught to think, therefore I am, to think about thinking, and it's bypassing your heart.
Are we conditioned out of listening to our heart, or meaning that we're conditioned to think, or
Great
you just
question.
happen to be in tune with it
So great.
and that's who you are as a person? Or
That's a great question. That's one of the we've been conditioned to think and not feel. And it's a very painful thing to see people thinking and overthinking and not feeling, and then watch that feeling dissipate, and then the trauma and the material gains that people quote unquote think make them happier, and they don't. That was a really good question by you, and I'm really grateful you asked that.
so what I have found, so you look at a book like Mindset, and here's why I'm mentioning it.
Yeah.
Because parents sit here and they say something they think is helpful to their child. But
Right.
what Carolyn Dweck talked about is when you say that, you're getting the exact opposite result.
100%. Well, you just answered your own question.
So my question is, what are parents doing, or what is society doing to kids that's making them stop feeling or pushing them to their mind versus their heart?
You're a deep feeler. And so I feel everything, and I feel that you really want to break through this. And I feel your, whatever you call it, pain, like with your mom dying when you were 7, and all the bullshit that you had to deal with in your life, and then people misidentifying you as Italian, which is kind of funny, but you're not Italian. But I'm like a kid, inside jokes. But the parents don't listen. Parents don't listen. And one of my great friends, his name's Keith Gard, and he's the former longtime manager of Aerosmith. Aerosmith's a band. Okay, good. So, I have a couple music companies, so I like to hang out with people like that because they're smart and they're wise and they've been through a lot. But so I was telling him, I'm like, I'm like a ancient soul in a 48-year-old body, and then I have like the childlike when I'm in a good mood and not like in despair about where society's headed in many ways. But when I'm in a good mood, I'm like a 4-year-old. And he goes, "Oh, well, that's the best way to be, because now this is my 4-year-old talk, because you haven't been conditioned by school yet. You can still be a kid." And I'm like a kid, like I am. Like I have a lot of fun. My children, my sons are 13 and 11. They're both maniacs like me. And then my wonderful ex-wife is a pediatrician. So they have her grounding, loving, high IQ, logical brain, and then they're maniacs like me. And then, I guess to answer your question, I listen to them, and they're really wonderful children. And then my 13-year-old the other day goes, "Dad, school's a prison." I go, "Yes, it is a prison." "Well, it is. You have bells, you have your meal time, it is. And then you have people that are conditioned, do. And then the 11-year-old, I like Colby and all these other assessments, but there's this thing called human design, which I feel is much better. You won't hear about this in the quote unquote business world, but human design, you just plug in your birthday and where you were born and what time of day. But I'm what's called a manifester. Very rare, 7% of the population. Most of the world is some type of a generator or projector. My guess is you'd be a projector because you ask good questions, but you're probably a generator, some type of generator or projector. But so I'm a manifester, and then my 11-year-old is also a manifester. He's like my little buddy. He's a guiding angel. If you want to get really spiritual, I'm sure he was my older brother or my dad in a past life. Now, whether you believe that or not is fine, but I believe that. And he and I were talking about bending time. When he was 9, we were talking about bending time and IQ. Okay, so most parents aren't talking to their children about that, but that's what, someone like me as a dad, I encourage that. So my 9-year-old, or he's 11 now, but when he was 9, his name's Chase, and he considers life one long great day. So yesterday's before you're born, tomorrow's after you die. So there's no years or weeks, any of that other human construct nonsense that we're living in. But so then he considers life one long day, and there are only 2 ways to have a great day. Only 2, because he's simple like me, very simple. So 1 is create more living things. So that could be a company, that could be a human life, plant a tree, I don't know, write a book. And then 2, do what you like to do and what you're good at and keep getting better at it. My long, great day. I don't understand. People are like, well, what do you think's going to happen 3 years from now? I don't know. I'm living one day, one really great day. So it's a really simple framework of living. And then I learn more from my children than they learn from me, for sure. Long answer. Now you can think about that.
No, so a lot of these things did hit. I agree with you. I think school is prison, as a matter of fact. It would not surprise me if I showed up at the school board meeting one day and saying, "Listen, if you're going to build a new building, I suggest you put bars on the outside, not to keep people out, but to keep them in, because the only people that are going to send kids here are what they are." We did have an episode on human design.
Oh, you did?
And we talked about it. Yeah. It says I'm a manifesting generator.
That's still a generator. Yeah, you're kind of like a bouncy ball. Yeah, but that's still a generator. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what it said. I agree with you.
What are the 2 numbers before? Do you know?
I would have to go.
Okay, I apologize for screwing up your phone.
No, this is cool. I love doing this live like this.
That's great that you even know that. Very few people in the entrepreneur world discuss human design.
Well, we try to bring people to these outside things. It says 5-1.
Yeah, so that's a deep, deep, deep thinker, critical thinker. Yeah. And so I'm a 6-2, which is called the exemplary human, role model hermit. So I need a lot of alone time. And 6-2s will blow up, destroy their former life to create something new. They will literally do that. Yeah. And so I will do that.
So I find most parents don't listen to their kids.
No.
When they do talk to their kids, they don't talk here, like
No, they talk
eye to
at
eye
them. They talk at them.
at them.
Yeah, right.
So they don't, and when their kid is experiencing something, they're like, just get over it.
Right.
Right. I grew up in the early 70s. It's a whole different world where, the attitude of life was quite different back then about just, don't cry unless I see blood kind of thing. And
Yeah.
the Marlboro man, like, I'll give you something to cry about. Shut up and
Yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of parents do have issues with that. Outside of the business world, so to speak, do a lot of people have that feeling side, or as a society are we mostly thinking? And is that a US centric or a Western world centric versus an Eastern world centric?
You're a good human. You're a good human. I'll be very curious. I'll answer that, but or I'll try to answer that. But the other good, if you want to call it an assessment, it's not really an assessment, but it's called numerology, where you literally just plug in your full birthday. I'm a life path 11, which is called the Master Visionary, Master Spiritual. Apparently, this is my last incarnation on this planet. Thank God, literally. And don't care about material things at all because it's a mask. I mean, that's what it is. Mask means MASQUE, which means fool. It's just a mask. So most of the quote unquote business world is just scaling a mask. But I guess to give data or to actually answer your question, probably 40% of the people I talk to are outside the United States. They're all, visionaries. Americans are the survivors from other countries. My father's parents escaped the pogroms of Russia. My mother's parents and grandparents, they're survivalists. So it's a very type A American personality. But as a whole, the world is totally unaware of really what they're even trying to do. And then if you look at social media, it was created by the least social people on the planet. It was created by high IQ, low EQ, scientists that don't know how to communicate. And so, it's great that we're communicating on this platform. Like, it's wonderful, but it's also created by people that don't know how to communicate. So it's a really interesting thing to be aware of that as well.
We've done episodes with futurists. We've done episodes on different types of people coming from different domains. But one of the things that seems to be coming together, and it's also a little bit in the book, The Fourth Turning, we're going through a cycle. And as part of that cycle, though, human consciousness is actually increasing. So while the world looks like it's getting worse,
For certain,
maybe it is.
For certain people, yes, I would agree.
As a humans, it seems like our consciousness net level is rising. And it's destined to continue. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, if you're not a litmus test for people you serve, that's hypocrisy. And I signed up for this. I take full responsibility, and I don't run away from anything. I mean, my litmus test for that is my father, who was shot down in combat and just got back into another plane. I mean, his war diary, he watched friends die, and commanding officers like, hey, just can you go on another mission? He's like, okay. So I'm like, well, that's what that's where I'm at. And so again, in real time, this is all happening. My next book is coming out, and I'm grateful for everything, no matter what. Dr. Deepak Chopra is doing the introduction for my book. Yeah. And this has been 2 years in the making, and it's coming out. As of this interview, it's coming out in a couple of weeks. So it's going to the printer. And that's a very, very difficult situation to be in. And I'm running right into it, facing it. And until people actually face what's really happening in the world, then nothing is going to change. If people continue to run away from the fire and not go all the way in, and I can hear your breath, I can hear it. That is what a collective sigh is going on in the world. It's that. And I am willing, and frankly, that's why I'm here. I mean, the timing of this book coming out, it was supposed to come out now. And so to me, it was supposed to be this way. I don't believe in randomness. And then you see what happens. And I'm willing to do that while still trying to be a human of two amazingly wonderful children who, I'm their father. And as a human, it's very difficult. But in terms of, I guess, to answer your question, raising level of consciousness, there's no other way of doing that. Like, you can keep running away from problems. You can. That's what most of the world does. You can keep scaling anxiety or live in these constructs, or you can be like, well, enough is enough. Probably 70% of the people I talk to are women visionaries. They're absolutely disgusted by men at this point. They've given up on men, which I don't blame them. And so here I am. And very difficult, very difficult, very difficult. But I signed up for this, and I will go all the way with it.
If we want to shift, how do we shift to more of a feeling versus a thinking? How do we, I mean, I would say, how do I reprogram myself? But the problem
It's
with
in the
that
book.
is that
It's in the book. This is what I wrote. So I'm a manifestor. I wrote this 2 years ago, not knowing what the hell I was doing. Literally just followed my heart and my dad's war diary to this town in France. Like, I just read his diary. I'm like, I saw a map. I'm like, oh, I'll go to France because that's what. I'm like, okay. I just followed my heart. And so the book talks about that. It's about slowing down, breathing, and then what I'm able to do, I guess, is I literally can turn off my brain at this point, and then I close my eyes or I breathe, and then I listen to my heart. I listen to it and feel it. If it is helpful, I listen to music when I'm doing that, or because I write songs. I have a songwriting company. That's really helpful to do that. But I'm able to just kind of turn off my brain and just feel things and slowing down. But that's one of the drawings in the book, is to lead with your heart and to, I mean, it's so fascinating that you ask that, because that's literally what is in the book, that exact process.
we're going to have you come back after I read the book.
I'll send you the raw manuscript. If you've read The Alchemist or Little Prince, it's that, but real and horrifically painful. I won't even look at the manuscript. It's too painful for me to look at. You know, since I finished it in May of 2024, I got amicably divorced and live about a mile from my children. And then there's been dissolution of some of the companies, and but it's been like my soul, or whatever you want to call it, I had to go through this fire. Like, I just had to do it. And that's the only way of raising consciousness. If you look at Dr. David Hawkins, he spent his whole lifetime working on that scale of consciousness. And in that 800 area, it's called the Great Void or Dark Night of the Soul. And I've been in that. I'm about to come out of it. And in fact, I think the book's release is part of that. I feel like that's just kind of how it worked out. But I've been in that area for well over a year, and it is not easy. It is very difficult, but also necessary to get to the next level.
And the book you're referring to, Power versus...
Which one was it? He wrote a lot of them, but Dr. David Hawkins did the Scale of Consciousness book. I think that was one.
Okay. It might be. I think the concept might be introduced in Power versus...
Okay. You're an old... What's your, you know what, let's just do this now. What's your actual full birthday? I'll tell you, I wonder if you're an 11 life path like me. What's your full birthday? Can you just tell me?
Oh.
All right, hold on. I have to add. All right, 11/21. Okay. 5, 15 and 11 is 26. So you're a life path 8. Guess what? You're good at making money. Ding. Yay. Shocking the world that you're in. 8s are called rainmakers. 8s are rainmakers. By the way, that's really good balance for an 11 like me, because I really don't care. It's funny, that was the first question you asked. And I never really did care about money at all. I guess it's energy. I guess it is. But I've never cared about it. I've tried to. And I've had years where I've made a lot of money and it didn't really mean anything to me at all.
I think once your basics are covered,
yes,
it's not going to change your happiness. Now, we'll still chase it, because that's what people do. They chase more and more.
Most people do. Not me.
Yeah, most people do.
Yeah.
Thinking more is going to somehow make it better, but it doesn't. And that's part of the reason for that first question.
It's a great question.
Well, because I don't think most people even understand their money scripts, their money beliefs. And it's kind of an opener, because we talk about our money beliefs, but then you can start talking about every other kind of belief that you have, because it's that principle. How did you come to the beliefs that you have about whatever it is that you believe? It's all programming, right?
It is all programming. And then more importantly, man, you are a highly evolved soul. It's about programming, but then it's unlearning all that BS when you realize that that doesn't work. It's the, for lack of a better term, wrong programming. And again, it's great to learn that, but I'm at a point where, and then my really good friends, most of them are very wealthy. There's a lot in the financial space, a lot. One, because in the entrepreneur world, there's a lot of people in the financial space. I mean, they have the money to be able to do things like that. Most of them are experiencing similar things to me where they're not happy. They're going through dark night of the souls. They realize all this money doesn't make them any happier, that all these experiences are just a mask. And, soul family, soul tribe, you're definitely part of that. I mean, you are a very evolved human being, very evolved. You're a good man, my friend. Good man.
Well, thank you.
Welcome. Thank you means acknowledging the other person's humanity. That's what that means, by the way.
Well, I appreciate the fee. It's taken me a long time to unprogram myself.
Of course.
I'm wondering if you have ideas of how to, I'm not going to say speed it up, but how to hasten it and how to just put it. So are you familiar with the Sedona method?
No, but the word patience means suffering. So I've gotten really good at being patient. One of the chapters in the book is strategic patience, and strategic is highest form of leadership, and patience is suffering. So leadership really does mean suffering. I mean, that's what we're actually on this planet to suffer, to learn from it. I'm convinced of that at this point.
Okay. And the reason I bring it up, because it's been many, many episodes ago, we had someone on who did the Sedona method. He did a little thing of, all you have to do is let go, like hold this pen, now let go. You see how easy it is? Now just go ahead and let go. I'm like,
that is
letting go of the pen was easy.
Called bullshit. Yeah, it's called bullshit. So most of the spiritual world, again, I've invested hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars to be in these rooms, many of the same rooms you've been in or are in. And I got tired of it because I saw what was really happening. And I'm like, this is all smoke and mirrors. And again, people in one-on-ones, they tell me what they're really feeling and that it's not working. So the two, I guess, main companies I'm focused on now are, one is called Aurum, which is a healing retreat center that my partner, who's a Life Path 33, that's a master healer. She's an amazing woman. I'm happy to introduce you to her. And so Aurum is gold, and then gold has massive healing power. So it's creating that and scaling that. And the other one is called Corvia, Corvia. Cor is heart and via is path. So heart path, and that's where my partner and I, Eric, we create songs with artificial intelligence, because that's a really good use of AI, because music predates spoken communication by 10,000 years. It's our original communication, and I found it's the fast track into your own heart and your own soul. And so those two things, plus this book, which is going to be extremely controversial, I'm very aware and ready for the backlash that's going to be coming with that. It's just how it is, and I've accepted it. And that gives me, as a human on this planet right now, to hopefully talk about my healing and my mask and my shadow, and which hopefully, and I'm not here to fix anyone or provide advice or anything like that. I just don't buy any of that stuff, but at least make people aware or feel things differently than what most people aren't talking about. From someone in my 48 years, almost 49, that I've lived in this world and seen things that aren't working. And so here's something that hopefully does work and really does help people.
Why do you think it's going to cause controversy?
Dr. Deepak Chopra is doing the introduction for my book. Because of that, it's the biggest controversy of our lifetime. There might never be a bigger controversy in our lifetime than what's currently taking place.
And I was
in many lifetimes.
Yes. Well, I think the difference now is that it's open.
Correct.
It's come out from hidden.
That's correct. Well, the door's been open into the shadow. Yeah. And I mean, it's and again, it happened, it all has happened in real time, which is, I mean, you can't make that up. So, and the book is supposed to be turned into a movie. I'm grateful. Gary Sinise, Lieutenant Dan, he's agreed to narrate it. But I've just been waiting for the book to come out for 2 years, and I'm glad it's coming out now. If it had come out a year ago, it would have been a totally different situation. But here we are. But yes, that's why it's controversial.
I wasn't sure if there was content in there that was controversial or that. Okay.
Well, I mean, that's a great point. I appreciate that. Well, it's because I would say yes, because a lot of what we're discussing here is in the book. And these are things that aren't really talked about in the quote unquote mainstream world. But the whole book is like a mask of society, like it's unveiling the mask of society. So it's very interesting that it's coming out now.
So how do you find the right rooms? Because I will say, I have gone looking for rooms, and
Difficult.
you
Well, I
think
made
it's
my
the
own.
room,
I made one. I mean, it's a constant. The book's called Epic Journey. It's an endless journey, and then you learn and you learn and you learn and you learn and you learn. I haven't found the right room yet. I haven't. I've left all the ones, and I'm extremely sensitive to energy, extremely sensitive to narcissism. I'm extremely sensitive. I felt you being sensitive to my sensitivity. By the way, you're not a narcissist. I could tell right away if you were, and you're not. I can tell you're very sensitive as well, and extremely sensitive to women who have been traumatized. I talk to a lot of women who are in the entrepreneurial space where if there's 100 people, there might be 5. And the things they tell me about how they experience those rooms, extremely painful. So I'm very sensitive and empathetic to that as well. And so, no, I mean, that's what I'm hoping Orem is. I mean, my partner for that is a wonderful woman, Alyssa, who again is a master healer, Life Path 33, who's overcome a lot in her life. And she's been working on it for 10 years. She's a 4 quick start. In Colby, you're a 5. And then I'm a 9 quick start. And so she and I met through Smoke Wallen's podcast. He's a 9 quick start like me. And then she and I talked around Halloween, and I go, oh, well, you've been working on this for 10 years. Why haven't you really started it? So, and so we started it. And then she's got decent follow through. And now she's, fulfilling her purpose in that way. And so that's what I'm hoping that room becomes, where it's an actual healing place for people that aren't healed and they're just scaling their unhealing trauma. That's what I've experienced in all of these rooms, all of them. And not only experienced it, but what people have told me when they're not in the room talking about how great their life is, when they go off into the shadow with me and you know what, thanks for helping me with this. That's kind of like people just tell me their shadow. I'm like their soul mirror. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, they tell me their shadow or their mask right away, almost right away. Yeah.
You know what's funny?
What is funny about that? I want to know.
No, nothing is funny about that. What's funny is business owners show
Exactly.
me their financials right away. They're like,
Well,
can you look at my financials and help
you're a
me?
life path
Whereas
eight.
people, I don't know why it is. I
Because you're a
just
life
know that
path
I
eight, you're
talk.
good with money.
Okay. People just have that natural trust. I don't know what I do about it, but it is. By the way, the tagline to the show is, you got rich, now what? Because the money didn't solve it.
No, didn't solve anything.
No.
I mean, you can eat and you have a place to live. That's good. That is good. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
I'm very grateful for that. I much prefer, the apartment I live in. Like, it's super quiet. It's small. Like, I don't need a lot of stuff. And I've had a lot of stuff and all that material stuff and gone to Necker Island and hung out there. But like, that stuff it's just it's like a drug addiction. It's just a one-hit wonder. And I'm like, I don't really care about that stuff. I'd rather really focus on this, a deep dive into this, and not only to heal my heart, but that's what the world is. It's just a giant broken heart with, individual broken hearts. That's really what it is, to simplify it as simple as possible.
Not having obligations and things that obligate you is extremely freeing, meaning stuff, like not having to take care of stuff, worry about stuff, all those things. It's easy. Like if you had a Rolls Royce, you can't just park it anywhere and walk away. And not for most people, oh my God, somebody this, somebody that. Like you can't just enjoy, because it becomes an obligation. Then it gets a scratch, and then you're like, oh my God, it has a scratch.
Oh, great point. So going back to your first question, again, I live a mile from where I grew up. I'm sorry, I live a mile from where my ex-wife and children live, and that this is the same town where I grew up in. And we were just named the #1 public school district in the United States. Yay. The #1 person. But so to follow up on your first question, like everything was a competition here to have the nicest car or the nicest shoes. It was never collaborative. It was never like, it was just trying to outdo everybody. It was a constant rat race. And I mean, that's definitely a first world problem, but it really hurt people. And then again, going back to the talking with your children, not talking at them or to them, but talking with them, their complaints are like, and they live in a nice house that, 99.9% of people would be really, really happy to live in. But here it's it's a good house, but here most of their friends live in bigger houses or have the newest iPhone or and we have nice cars, but they have really, really nice cars. And so they talk about that. I go, guys, that's all bullshit. Like, it's all just a mask. And then they talk about, well, how unhappy their really rich friends are. I'm like, well, guys, that's because they're trying to heal, or their parents are trying to heal them with gifts, or they're not really, the love really isn't there. And I guess as a father, because I can barely parent myself, let alone my children, but as a father, I guess that's my greatest gift to them, is at least making them aware of this when they're young. And then also encouraging them to follow their hearts no matter what. That's something I've always done. Doesn't always work out so well, but that's something I know they'll do that as well. They won't be afraid to follow their hearts because they've had the foundation where they know that's okay. And they're 13 and 11 now. So that's my greatest gift to them. And then their mom is just a warm, loving, kind, very smart human being. So and she knows how to parent and make sure they register for school and all that stuff. So that's good. Yeah.
It's funny because we were very intentional with our kids for picking a school where you weren't judged by your sneakers. And my kids grew up
smart,
and their friends would be like, what brand sneaker is that? We've never heard of it. And my kids were just like, whatever, they're clothes. We don't care. We really taught them not to fall for commercialism.
You must have had a good dad. Did he remarry? Did your dad remarry after your mom died?
He did not, no.
He didn't? Wow. So he put everything into you and you had a good dad. Is he still alive?
He is not. He would have, at this point, he would be 100 this year.
Yeah. So I should be much older than you. Yeah. So he was born in, let's do the maths.
Just minus 100 years.
Yeah.
Almost.
1925.
There you go.
Yeah. So my dad was born in 1916. Yeah. So that's what I mean.
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. For kids, love is spelled T-I-M-E.
I'm going to look up what that word means. I'll be curious to see if that time.
It means you are there with them. You're present.
Present is a gift. Présent. That one I know.
Yeah. Okay. You tell me. It just means that you're there for them. You're with them. You're not handing them a gift or an iPad because you didn't bother to talk to them, kind of thing. That's all.
Interesting. Time means to divide. That's interesting.
So you mentioned it's your last time on this planet. Any ideas? Are you going somewhere else? Is there other places to go?
Well, Smoke Wallen talks about he's from a different planet, and this is his first time on this planet. He's talked about that openly. I've done plant medicine journeys and Akashic records and all of that stuff. I don't know. There's no proof of any of this stuff. I've had dreams about it and definitely out-of-body experiences, and have talked to many people that have had near-death experiences. So I don't know where I'm going to go or where anybody's going to go. But what I will say is that to the best of what I've learned and what I feel, that we're here on this planet at this time for those that are ready to experience this and evolve their consciousness, is to go through these extremely painful, fire-burning lessons to evolve, and that we actually want to do this. I don't know why. I don't know why anyone would sign up for this, but I did, and that's why I'm here. I mean, if you would have told me 2 years ago, before I started doing this manuscript, that I'd be amicably divorced and living away from my children and starting all these new companies, I never would have believed that. I didn't believe in human design or numerology or past life regret. I didn't believe in any of that stuff. But this is what has happened. And I guess to simplify that, I wrote this in the book, but that logic only goes so far. And after that, the only logic is illogic and love. So that none of this there's no logic in any of this. It's all illogical. And that it was just following my heart, my intuition, wherever it takes me. And I'll just keep doing that no matter what. Like my dad getting back into a plane after he was shot down in World War II, and just get back into another plane. So it's good to have a reference point for that, like him.
So what does love have to do with all of this?
Everything. There's nothing else. I mean, nothing. None of this other stuff matters. None of it. And I'll double down on that. And a big part of the reason why I'm here. I'll simplify it for versus man, woman, just to make it simple. So and again, this is a lifetime, probably many, but at least this one of listening to women and men tell me what's going on. To simplify, from a woman perspective, whether they're an entrepreneur or not, they have been conditioned over thousands upon thousands of years to be abused by men, traumatized. Any way abuse. I haven't met one woman who has not been abused in some way by a man, or a woman for that matter, but I haven't met one, not one. If you know one, please introduce me to that woman. I would like to meet. I haven't met one yet. And so it's conditioned at a cellular level. And so when a man who, they call this in the human world, avoidant attachment, dismissive avoidant or anxious avoidant, fearful avoidant. And so when I guess a quote unquote good man comes along, it's confusing many times because they're conditioned they're conditioned by narcissists or abuse. And for a man, there's nothing more painful, a man who genuinely cares about a woman or cares about a man or whatever, than that being rejected or dismissed or avoided or run away from. There's nothing more painful for a man than that, when they genuinely love a woman. And so if people can heal their own hearts, and then you're a really good example of this, you're with the right person for sure, and then be with the right romantic partner or partner, many of these things would be solved. But it really all starts with healing your own heart first, and that will attract the right person. And so we're dealing with a world where people are not healed. Their hearts are not healed. So then they're with another unhealed person, and then that creates unhealed children, and then where they're talking at their children. And so it's just this cycle, this endless cycle, until for a select few, there's a determination to seek liberation from social hypnosis. You're definitely one of those people. Until there's few, that grows into many. And as you said, the world's collective consciousness increases, and it takes those select few to be willing to put things on the line to have these discussions. And that's what I'll continue to do.
No, I appreciate that, and being open to it and having those types of conversations. You also mentioned plant medicine. We've talked about that a couple times on the podcast. Any advice or experiences or something to share with regards to that?
Well, again, I'm not an advice person, but what I will say is that if you're going to do that, be ready. Like, don't just haphazardly do that.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you're in the right setting, in a trustworthy place. That's the one where you'd want to do some thinking on it and really make sure you find the right person. Because again, this is an oversimplification, but it's just how it is. I mean, if you look at the spiritual community as a whole, it's very traumatized, for the most part, very traumatized people that haven't done any healing, and then they're creating these programs that aren't, it's just a mess. And so just with that stuff, please go to a trusted place or have a really trusted friend that can guide you in the right direction for something like that. Because those can be very dangerous situations if you choose the wrong type of thing for that, for sure.
Very true. And I'm told the last part of the journey is kind of a journey on your own. Like, you're not going to find a guide. You're going to have to go out into the wilderness and find your own way.
Great. Well, hey, again, litmus test for previous serve. So there's an assessment called Gene Keys. Okay, have you done that one? You would like it.
No.
So GeneKeys.com. So I've done mine, and there's no one for me to follow. No one. Yay! There's literally no. It says that in my Gene Keys, and so that's why I like kind of being by myself a lot of the time, having solitude, because in a good way, it forces me to look into my own shadow, into my own mess. And then the fire is burning, it is burning, and have learned that all this outward material things, it's not the answer. It's not. People can keep trying to do that. They can. And hopefully for many people it is, but I've learned, again, from talking to thousands upon thousands of people, that it's not. And so for this time to be in a lot of solitude and then going through this journey, I'm very grateful for it. And again, with Dr. Hawkins, he talked about being in the great void or dark night of the soul. That's where I'm about to come out of that. And then if you think about it from a biological standpoint, a caterpillar, before it comes out as a butterfly, it goes into a cocoon, a chrysalis, or a great void, and then it literally turns into an ooze. It literally disintegrates from a caterpillar before it becomes a butterfly. Its essential body parts kind of move around, but if you open that chrysalis too soon, the ooze comes out. It won't turn into a butterfly. So I'm still a little bit of ooze about to come out as a butterfly. And that's very, very painful, disintegrating, by the way, but necessary. And then I think 1 or 2 out of 100 caterpillar eggs eventually turn into a butterfly. So the odds are against the full transformation biologically, but I'm willing to go all the way to see what comes out of the chrysalis.
And I'm waiting to see as well.
I would agree. I would say, in spite of our human age difference, I would say we're very similar and very parallel journeys, very parallel in totally different ways of helping people or helping ourselves help people. It's perfect timing, I guess, that we're talking right now.
What's one truth about success you wish more people understood?
Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
Interesting. What's your secret to living an abundant life?
Telling people how you feel no matter what. It's very painful to do that.
It's liberating, though, isn't it?
It's very painful, but liberating. Yeah, because then you don't hide. But it's very difficult if they're not ready to hear that. Very painful.
That it is.
Yeah.
Your kids are a little young.
No,
if you were to give, well, for the next question, if you were to give an 18-year-old one specific piece of wisdom, what would it be?
Well, I appreciate that question. The one thing I tell my children, the one thing is silly, okay, stupid, not. And that ties in, don't commit a felony. I don't care if they commit a million misdemeanors, but don't commit a felony.
Be good, right?
I mean, misdemeanors aren't always good, but just don't commit a felony. That's parenting, right? Don't commit a felony.
If people would like to learn more about you, find the book, how do they do all of that?
Thank you. I really appreciate this interview. You're a good man. The book's called Epic Journey. It'll be out soon. And then the main 2 websites are orumsanctuary.com. Orum is spelled AURUM, orumsanctuary.com, and then Corvia.ai, Corvi.
And we will put those in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Hey, thanks for checking out the full unedited video of the Richer Soul podcast. You can get the full audio podcast with intro, outro, and a ton more details here on YouTube or whatever your favorite podcast player is. Don't forget, we've got hundreds of episodes for you to go back through, and you can also get episode information on the Richer Soul website as well. Don't forget to subscribe so you're automatically updated as to what's going on and every time we release a new episode. The first few episodes of the Richer Soul podcast actually lay out the entire framework that everything is built on over all of these years. So check them out as well. Thanks for listening.